Venezia, the fascinating water city with a history that dates back more than 1,500 years. This, the Queen of the Seas, is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. San Marco, the heart of the town. The noble Sestiere. The former political center of the city is now a major destination for those visiting Venice. The splendid architecture of various eras is in abundance here. Such as the colorful Torre dell'Orologio. The clock's action within the tower was created by father and son Ranieri at the end of the 15th century. Cables, weights and rollers bring the clock to life. On the top of the tower, two huge bronze statues chime each hour and overlook both the square and the basilica. A fine sight wherever one looks. The San Marco Basilica, once the palace chapel of the Doge, is a triumph of Byzantine architecture. A lion, numerous angels and St. Mark adorn the main facade. On the model of a Greek cross are 5 domes, and magnificent mosaics adorn the external facade as well as the interior. Next, the Palazzo Ducale, the center of power of the Republic and the residence of its rulers, a masterpiece of Gothic architecture. In 814 AD, the first palace was constructed here. And so the symbol of the Sea Republic was born. With over 1,000 members, the Grand Council created a powerful foundation for both itself and the Doge. Trade brought riches, and wealth had to be displayed. Thus arose several diverse buildings, including the Palazzo Contarini Del Bovolo, with its tower stairway, and the famous opera house, the Teatro La Fenice, in the midst of a maze of narrow streets. Its restored splendor is a marvelous sight, considering that in 1996 a fire destroyed all but its facade. The nearby San Moise church features a dominant Baroque facade. But the Venetians love it, and also the intimacy of this small square. And everywhere, narrow canals navigated by countless gondolas. Instead of streets, waterways. Behind the towering campanile are the Giardinetti Reale, small royal gardens that were created in 1807 on the site of former granaries, with views across to Santa Maria della Salute. In order to reach the tiny Isola di San Giorgio Maggiore, the wide Canale di San Marco has to be crossed by Vaporetto. Here there's a campanile, church and monastery that was founded by the Benedictine order in the late 10th century. The views from here are spectacular. The city developed from many small islands. Its palaces, churches, and general buildings are built on wooden stakes that are rammed deep into the clay soil of the lagoon. The largest district is Castello. Near to the Bridge of Sighs is the famous Hotel Daniele on the quay, its pink colouring a real eye-catcher. Its intimate courtyard indicates that the hotel originated from a palazzo in the 19th century. The city's most famous promenade is the Riva degli Schiavoni, which forms the southern boundary of this district. This is Museo Storico Navale that recalls the sea power of Venice. Exhibits include items from warships, various models, and festive barges, as well as uniforms and weaponry. The buildings along the quay become fewer and smaller until the Giardini Pubblici begins. The city's park was built on drained wetland, a place in which to relax. Almost the equivalent of a separate city is formed by the Campo Arsenale, the eponym of this district, once Venice's military shipyard. In this heavily fortified shipyard, a ship was built each day. On the banks of the canal outside the Santa Maria Formosa church are a number of gondolas. In 1492, this building was built on the remains of an older church. There's the remarkable yet grotesque stone face at the bottom of the main facade. The tower was built in 1688. The Campo is large, spacious, and lined with beautiful palaces. This marketplace is one of the finest in Venice. The Palazzo Contarini Stampaglia is located on the northern corner, with a canal along the front and a small bridge leading to its entrance. This patrician palace provides a vivid impression of the lifestyle of a wealthy, noble family in the 19th century. As great art lovers, they adorned the palace with beautiful paintings. It's a peculiarity of the city's buildings that their exterior frequently hides the splendor that lies within. In the 13th century, the districts of both San Marco and the Rialto had become too constricted for any new large churches. Therefore, the Doge Jacopo Tiepolo gave this area north of the city to the Dominicans. Venice's largest sacred building is the Santi Giovanni e Paolo, also known as the Pantheon of the city, as 27 Doges are buried within it. Notable artists created its tomb monuments, which reflect the development of sculpture from late Gothic via Renaissance to Baroque. The Scuola Grande, immediately next to the church, belongs to a prosperous brotherhood. In the north, Cannaregio is the most popular of the city's districts. Along the canals are small squares and churches, such as the Santa Miracoli, a dainty masterpiece of early Renaissance design. The most famous building is the private Ghetto, located directly on the Canal Grande. Its facade was once covered with gold leaf. And now another aspect. A walk through the Jewish quarter of the lagoon city is like entering a world of melancholy. Slim, tall buildings line this tranquil area that is accessible only by bridges whose heavy iron gates once secured this small island from sunset to dawn. It was the world's first ghetto. Jews settled in the relatively tolerant trading town from the early Middle Ages, but were soon banished until, due to their trading skills, they were allowed to live in this relatively isolated part of the city. In the 17th century, up to 5,000 Jews lived in Venice. The picturesque facades of slowly decaying buildings line the Rio Madonna dell'Orto Canal, where the church of the same name is located. This Gothic gem was the parish church of Italian artist Tintoretto. Its striking brick facade is decorated with images of the 12 apostles. And everywhere, gondoliers. Even a visit to a cemetery means another boat ride. The cemetery is located on its own island and is only reachable by water. In the 13th century, the island was inhabited by monks. The dead were often buried in honeycomb-like niches in the walls. The graves of numerous celebrities, such as composer Igor Stravinsky, can be found here. It's an intriguing place. The upper section of the Canal Grande encloses San Polo and the adjacent Santa Croce. According to legend, the first inhabitants of the island settled on the Rives Altas, which became the Rialto, the economic center of Venice. Until the 19th century, the Rialto Bridge was the only bridge that crossed the Canal Grande, the main transport artery of the lagoon city. Otherwise, it was a journey by gondola. The markets of the Rialto are popular with both Venetians and tourists alike. They stock a large variety of fresh fruit and vegetables. There's also a fine fish market. Early in the morning, freshly caught fish and seafood are delivered here by boat and then displayed to best effect. The market's been here for 600 years, and most likely little has changed in its daily ritual of creating mouth-watering displays. San Giacomo dell'Orio is the center of the San Croce district. Both church and the Campanile defend their confined space. One of the most beautiful palaces that overlooks the Canal Grande is the Palazzo Papadopoli, which has been transformed into a world-famous luxury hotel. Guests arrive by boat, enter the Palace Hotel via its reception hall, and walk up a magnificent staircase. Its historic opulence is a sight to see. Ornaments, frescoes and stucco adorn the Piano Nobile dining room. Its former ballroom is decorated with gold leaf, ornate mirrors, 12 candelabra, and 3 chandeliers of Murano glass. The palazzo has a long history. The Coccina family consisted of traders and sailors and had the palazzo designed by architect De Grigi in 1550. Following the death of the last member of the Coccina family, in 1718 it was sold to the Tiepolo family. The rooms are decorated with frescoes by Giambattista Tiepolo and his students. It has had several owners, and now a Greek family, the Papadopolis, own the palace. The Gothic Santa Maria Gloriosa de Frare church dominates the eastern part of San Polo. The Franciscans were the first to build a church here. A small square frames the radiant white San Rocco church, with next to it the Scuola Grande di San Rocco, a former hospital. The splendid Rio do San Barnaba Canal divides the Dorsoduro district, most of which was built on dry land. Although there are many historic buildings here, it's a relatively secretive and modest area. A small bridge leads to the outermost western corner of the district to the church of San Nicolo de' Mendicoli. It's one of the city's oldest and most beautiful churches, which thanks to a Save Venice fund has been lovingly restored. Its statues and paintings, as well as its floor, walls and roof, were rescued from potentially threatening flooding. Close to the Canale della Giudecca is the San Trovaso Church, next to which is one of Venice's last remaining gondola workshops. Gondolas are still manufactured and repaired here. Their construction has remained unchanged for centuries, with master craftsmen handing down their skills from one generation to another. The gondola consists of 280 sections crafted from 8 types of wood. As time passed by, they became increasingly more ornate until the Senate finally controlled their design. At the top, always a comb with 6 teeth, which symbolizes the 6 districts of the city. This one has also been manufactured artistically. Venetian masks, costumes and carnival are world famous. The tradition of costuming began in the 11th century. Social barriers were abolished and almost anything was permitted. Galleria dell'Accademia is home to the world's largest collection of Venetian paintings. And this is the wooden Accademia Bridge. The view to Santa Maria della Salute is amazing. Suddenly there she is, quite huge, and built on more than 1 million wooden stakes. This huge Baroque church was built to commemorate the salvation of the city from a devastating plague of 1630. The view from the outermost point of Dorsoduro across to San Marco is quite breathtaking. From here, various boats travel to Giudecca Island, which is located nearby. The Il Redentore Church is the most important religious building on the island. It also was built to commemorate the liberation from the plague that killed 1/3 of its residents. Its simple interior, free from the pomp of other churches, highlighted thanks and humility. What would Venice be without a visit to Murano, the island of glassmakers? Until the 17th century, the production of glass was the best-kept secret of the Sea Republic, and the vitri, the glass blowers, were highly regarded and enjoyed many privileges. From the Middle Ages, Venice was the most important glass producer in the Western world. The keeper of the secret magic formula that transformed sand, quartz, sodium and potassium into glass. The Basilica de Santa Maria e Donati is a sacred treasure that dates back to the 17th century. Torcello, the island of the Little Tower, was, due to its proximity to the mainland, the first and also for some centuries the most powerful settlement in the lagoon. In the tranquil isolation of the island is a Byzantine basilica which indicates its former splendor. Eventually, many canals silted up and only one canal remained for the route to Burano. This is a small, remote island of fishermen whose wives specialize in the production of lace embroidery. Buildings in glowing colors reflect in the canal which flows through the island and allows the returning fishermen to identify their island from a distance. Today, the island can hardly escape tourists during the day. Hordes of them visit Murano, Torcello and Burano. In late afternoon, peace gradually returns and it becomes easier to imagine how leisurely life once was on these islands. The city in the water, where luxury was once synonymous with its name, is a place of remarkable architecture and truly unique beauty. Venice has survived in grand form to the present day, a fragile legend of ancient pride, and with more than a hint of melancholic transience.